You're in for a treat today as Jack and I talk about some sexcapades that we've had. Ow! Hey guys, it's John and Jackie of OpenLove101.com. Welcome to our show. We've got a great one for you today, but before we get started, please sign up to our email list at OpenLove101.com and we'll notify you of all things Open Love.
Do you ever get tired of saying that?
I love doing these things, so probably not.
No. Okay. Well, good.
And now it's on you, babe.
Oh, it's on me?
Yes.
All right. Well, somebody has asked us if we will talk about our first time in the lifestyle together and separate.
Okay.
And then they want us to talk about a moment in the lifestyle that we regret or is cringe-worthy.
A cringe moment.
Cringe-worthy. I feel like we've talked about this before, but we're going to talk about it again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, your lifestyle stuff, the separate stuff could go back years and years and years and years and years.
I mean, for me, like before we were together, I definitely had many lifestyle experiences. I've been in a lifestyle a long time.
How long have you been in the lifestyle?
My first threesome was when I was 18. If that's considered lifestyle. I mean, it was just a threesome, but.
I mean, you didn't know it was lifestyle. You didn't even know there was that.
I mean, I didn't know that word, no.
Yeah. So.
It's just like, at that time, I just was open to having sex.
So what would you say would be your first experience that would have been within the lifestyle realm that you would have like acknowledged like, oh, I'm in the lifestyle doing this thing?
Huh.
Would it have been in Amsterdam?
No, because that's the first time I really knew what it was.
Right.
And there were some times in Atlanta, maybe around that same period of time, where I had some experiences with friends that would be considered lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember specifically though. When I owned a nightclub in Atlanta, and the internet had just really come into being. So it was the mid 90s, 96, 97, something like that. And I met a couple online. Well, actually, I didn't know it was a couple at the time. Someone was advertising a gangbang and they were looking for volunteers for the gangbang. It was going to be filmed. And I was with a friend and we were looking at it and I just couldn't believe. I'm like, this is what you can do online? You can meet people this way? And I think they were in Jacksonville. So I was in Atlanta, so a few hour drive. And I signed up. And I drove down there and there was a cameraman and the girl. And I was the only guy that showed up. So it ended up just being her and I being filmed. So we made out in the bedroom and we made out in the pool. And then the security guy came by and he's like, you guys can't be doing that in the pool. I said, well, we're almost done. And, he let us finish. And then we hung out afterwards and I find out that's her husband filming us.
Ah.
And that was kind of a like aha moment right there. I'm like, what? Really? And I ended up going back with them to their house and we hung out and somehow we got on the subject of DVP, double vaginal penetration. And they had never done that before. And they weren't ready. They wanted to practice. So I went back home, said good night and went home and they ended up buying a vibrator or a dildo and they practiced it using that. And they invited me down to do it for real with them. And so I did. And man, they were a great couple. That was probably my first time with a couple, I think.
And what was it like for you when you found out that they were a married couple? Like, were you just like?
I just thought it was cool. I mean, it was like it blew me away at first. I'm like, I felt a little like, what? I mean, I couldn't believe her husband was watching us do these things, and but they explained to me and how much it meant to them, and I mean, there may have been other times before that, but that one stands out right now. I mean,
Mhm.
if I wrote out a timeline, maybe there was another one, but that was definitely my first DVP, and, I was hooked after that.
Yes,
Yes.
we all know, honey.
Yeah, so that was a pretty cool experience, and, I know she was looking for something more than that. I wasn't the only guy they'd invited, but so many didn't show
Right.
up, and my experience since then has been that's pretty normal. People will sign up for things, and then they chicken out last minute, they decide not to go or whatever, and that was the case here.
Right. And what about okay, so that would have been your first experience just, like, on your own, but if you look at, like, since we've been together, what's been an experience, I guess, that we've had together and maybe separate that stands out in your mind
Something like out of any period of time
that we've since we've been together?
that
Or I
include.
guess maybe it was the first. Wasn't that the question we
Yeah,
were
but
gonna
we can talk
ask?
about
I
anything.
guess we
We're
can
just
talk
talking
about
about
anything.
experiences, so I mean, one of the experiences we had that really stands out for me that I really loved was, back in the day when you could pick up people on Craigslist, and I weeding through them, and I found this guy on Craigslist, and you would it that I think we'd had some threesomes, you liked having threesomes, but you weren't really you were like, "You set it up and I'll do it," kind of a thing,
Yeah,
and
no, are you talking about the first one?
no.
Oh, this is a different one?
Yeah, this is when we
Okay.
lived in Dallas, and I ended up finding this guy online. He was looking
Oh,
for
yeah.
a couple.
Yeah.
It was male searching for a couple,
Yeah.
and the thing was I knew about Jackie was she wa once she was, like, in the moment, she was much more down with doing something like that.
I can be an overthinker.
Yeah. So if I were to tell her this is what's happening, she'd be like, "Oh, no, no, I mean, whatever, I don't have the right clothes or the shoes or not in the mood," whatever it is,
I
the
need to
weather's
take
not
a
right.
shower, the weather's not
Yeah.
right.
So, I didn't tell her I was doing it, and, I arranged for the guy to come over.
Well, I wanna interrupt.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't just we had actually had some fantasy discussions in the past, and this happened to be one of my fantasies. So this isn't like something you just even though it was something I wasn't prepared for, it was something that we had discussed in the past. So it wasn't like completely out of the realm of
No, for sure, yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't like I just came up with this one.
And you were just like put me in the middle of the situation.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So I'm Jack and I are in the bedroom. He's supposed to just come in and join us, and we're making love, and the phone rings, and it was him. I could see it. It came up. I'm like, So I told Jackie, I'm like, "Oh, it's
work.
work or something. I gotta take this call, like, while we're having sex." And was it maybe a text or
It was
something?
a text,
And he wanted me to put something on the door
the front door.
to indicate that it was the right house because he didn't just wanna walk into a house and then, like, someone's there with it's the wrong like we're trying to play a joke on this guy or something we don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I had a little, image of,
Flag.
flag
Yeah.
of Cuba, and I put it on the door, and I told him this is what it is, and so Jackie and I go back, I took care of work, let's get back to it, so we're going back to it, and then the guy did, he came to the house, and, I mean, I don't know what was going through Jackie's mind when he's standing there and
Well, it wasn't the fact that I didn't even know he was standing there. What happened was it went from 2 hands on me to 4 hands on me, and I was trying to figure that out. I like, it was almost immediate, and then I looked to the side, and then he was there, and I mean, he was very attractive, and like you said, I didn't have time to overthink anything. I was already kind of in that moment. It was really to me, it felt really organic, and it was just Like, it just ended up being this really great interaction. He ended up being just this great guy, and we were friends for a long time until we moved, and he came over several times. Sometimes it's that excitement of stepping outside the box, right? Just letting something happen. It was really great that you planned that and had that all going, because I got to just kind of be a recipient in that. And I mean, you had a 50-50 chance of it going completely the other way.
Oh, I think my odds were
But it
better.
didn't but it didn't,
50-50.
it was, I mean, I guess there was an element of risk in that, but it ended up being really a great interaction for all 3 of us, and, just a great guy, and,
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing was too, I mean, I think it's to kinda get out of the telling story frame of mind,
yeah,
some advice is, I mean, I spoke to him on the phone. I got a feeling about him, when you're doing something where you don't it's a blind date, inviting them to your
yeah,
house. I mean, you have to be a little cautious about that, but I really had a good feeling about talking to him on the phone, and
yeah.
that was really when finally I made that decision to do it.
Well, and then come to find out, we kind of had run in the same circles, so he actually knew some of the same people that we knew, and so that was kinda cool too. Um, but yeah, that was one of those that's one of those interchanges that we had that was just really kinda cool,
Yeah.
that we had together. And then, when I think of separate play dates that you and I have had, because in the relationship model that John have and I have in our open relationship, is that we can play separately, and that can be separately in the same room, it can be separately in different rooms, it can be separately in different states, cities,
Countries.
countries, I mean, it can when I think of those play dates that we've had, probably my favorite thing of those is when we come back together and we can talk about it or share it, or we kind of feed off that sexual energy that's already been created, and just kind of feed off of that, listen to each other's stories. I know for me, the first time I had a separate play date from you, and then in the car on the way home, because when I think about those first ones, you took me because we were in where we were, I wasn't comfortable driving.
Mhm.
In hindsight, when I look back, I really like that, because not only did I not just have my car, but you had dropped me off, and so my play partner knew that too. He knew you were coming back.
Right.
So there was an element of safety in that as well. But when I think about when you picked me up and I got back in the car and I'm talking to you about the experience like I would have talked to a girlfriend in college, or I'm talking about the giddiness that I'm feeling, or the excitement, or the different thing that they did, or I can't wait to try this. And even though those parts of it are important, what really just kills me every time this happens is your support of me. It really didn't make any difference what I was doing. It was the fact that I could get in the car and be like, "I got to experience this thing and it was so cool." And you're like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you." I mean, I could be doing anything, but it's that part of it that makes it cool, but it also made it really surreal, because I'm like, I can actually be doing something so separate from John, but yet he still wants to participate in the joy that I'm experiencing from it. And to me, that's a definition of love.
Mhm. Hmm.
And those are pretty precious moments,
I
in
agree.
in my book.
I remember, back to the one of the dates where I drove you, one of
Yeah.
the first actually, it was the first one, and I dropped Jackie off at the restaurant where she was meeting this gentleman, and, I told her the minute I mean, sit down and text me right before I get too far away and let me know that you're comfortable, and she did that,
Yeah.
and then I went home and just relaxed and waited, and then, you know, she texted me back, "I'm ready to get picked up," and I went back and picked her. That was so much fun. I mean, I really love doing it, even though you can drive yourself today. I would still like to do that sometime. That was kinda cool, but, like, dropping you off to your date.
I know, it's so it would seem so weird to other I mean, it even seems weird to me even when I talk about it. And it's one of those things that I've been able to share with you that I was never able to share with anybody else. Like
Mhm.
that it it's just really kind of a cool experience. To have that kind of love and support from your partner, even when you're doing something that maybe sounds like it shouldn't be able to work, but it does. Um,
And, we've had periods of time where we have had play partners, and we've had periods where we really hadn't been anyone in our lives, to do that with. But I know the times that either one of us have had a play partner, the you and I's sex is better for some reason and more frequent.
why do you think that is? I mean, because that is one of those phenomenons, not to kind of break from what we're talking about, but why do you think that is? Because most people in lifestyle will tell you that exact same thing. But why is that? Because it seems like that would be counter.
I mean, I believe that part of it is within our DNA and has to do with survival of the fittest and how our species propagated at one time. And you had to when it's a new species, you gotta do it a lot, you gotta build, and I think that's part of that process. So, when the for me, like, knowing that you did that and hearing about it, such a turn on. Like, I could have had sex 5 minutes beforehand, but if you come back from the date and tell me what happened, I would be able to again right away. It just something internally. I mean, it has to be something like that for the switch to flip so quickly and easily. And it does for you too. The same kind of thing can happen.
Well, and I think it can be probably has some tethers to bonding,
That too. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
strengthening bonding, like doing this and we're going to bond like it increases that. And I mean there are some species that's how they navigate those communities is through that. It's a bonding
And it doesn't even
experience.
have to involve sex because I mean,
Right.
just recently, we had some people over and one of the girls that was there was looking at me in a certain way and Jackie noticed it. And then the next day she talked about it
And there you
and it
go.
wasn't anything. It was just the way she was looking at me. And I mean, we sat together for a few minutes, but it wasn't a sexual thing at all.
Right.
But just the fact somebody was flirting with me was a turn on.
Or looking at you in that way, like I was talking earlier, where it just kind of reminds you of like, oh yeah, like oh, but just like with anything in life, you're going to have experiences that are just like really beautiful. They're really poignant. They really speak to you. They remind you why you're doing it. Doing whatever it is that you're doing in your relationship, and then sometimes something comes along and really, really makes you appreciate your partner. But from the
Yeah.
opposite standpoint, because maybe the interaction was subpar or, it didn't go quite as planned. Um, I can really only think of one interchange that I had with somebody where it was kind of cringy, but it really wasn't so much about what they had done. What made it poignant was what I didn't do. And so it's cringe-worthy from the standpoint that I wasn't an advocate for myself.
Mhm.
And so then it just becomes a lesson. So I guess it's more along those lines.
Yeah, and, you definitely you learned from it, and, we talked about it afterwards, and like Jake said, it wasn't really that the thing that transpired wasn't anything that hurt you or anything like that. It was
No, it
just
wasn't a
something
big
that
deal.
was
It was
like,
shocking,
yeah, this isn't
different,
really my thing."
but I didn't, I wasn't quite sure how to say
How to
something at
say
the
no
time.
to it,
Yeah,
yeah.
how to say no to it. I wasn't, and those are learning curves, but you have to look at them like that.
Mhm, and the only ones that the experience I've had that I would say are I don't enjoy them in the same way. It's when somebody gets, and this could just be for me because of where I am in my life, but when someone gets so drunk that it becomes really sloppy and
Yeah.
It's those dates where I've had where that's happened, it's like, "Why am I here?" You know, and it's when I wish that, I mean, it could be the point where someone can't even drive themselves home, and so you end up having to do more, and yeah, so those are the ones I think it's for me, I really enjoy being I don't mind if people drink, but
Yeah.
I don't like it when they get so out of it that it's like, it doesn't become fun anymore, it becomes work.
Yeah, well, and then you have to, like, be the like, you realize they're past the point of being able to negotiate what's even going on anyway, so then, you don't wanna, like, deal with any kind of consent issues and all that kinda
Yeah,
stuffle,
right.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, in most cases when that's happened, nothing ever happened because it just got that person got so
Yeah, you become
wasted,
more of a
I wasn't gonna do
babysitter.
anything anymore,
Right,
and it wasn't
right.
attractive to me, I wasn't turned on by it,
Yeah.
and then, then I come home and tell you the story, and it doesn't do anything for us either, so
No, no, it just makes us more like, "Aw,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that
Yeah.
that was horrible," and that's interesting too, 'cause we've had that happen as well. It's like, "Well, I got there and it wasn't really what I was kind of hoping for,"
Right.
or, she wasn't maybe as honest about what she looked like as she claimed or, you
Isn't it
know
cool we can just sit here and just talk about like, in the time that we've been together, we're talking about experiences we had sexually with other people, and it's just
Yeah,
so
yeah. Yeah, and then how you could be, like, disappointed for them. You're like,
Yeah.
"Ah." All in all, I mean, the whole trip of this, just the road that we've traveled in our open relationship has just had so many opportunities for us to just become closer, and we've made some really good friendships, and I think our relationship, I know for me, it's the first relationship that I've had where this many years into it, I'm still as excited about the relationship I was at the beginning of it, which is fun for me.
It's fun for me too, so
So
well, guys, we hope you enjoy hearing our stories, and once again, please sign up for our email list at openlove101.com to be notified of this and other Open Love 101 stuff, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
see
See
ya.
ya.